As a documentary photographer, nothing matters more to me than positively affecting the media representation of Africa and Africans. And so I hope that my work one day will speak as a legacy and as a testament to my genuine intentions to have Africa viewed in a positive light, in a positive perspective. I think for many years, Africa has been viewed through the lens, the Western lens, which is the European lens or the American lens. And so what that has done is it's kind of not provided lots of Africans with the opportunity to tell their own stories. And so I hope that my documentary, not just this one, and any that I've done before, and many of them to come, I hope that they will speak as a testament for what Africa is and how much potential we have in Africa. I hope that I can attribute all of my energy and all of my genuine love for Africa and for the continent towards positively affecting social development specifically, and by touching on these social issues that are oftentimes overlooked and that are sometimes even too sensitive to talk on. I hope that by touching on them, I may inspire one or two people to see the importance of embracing your African identity and embracing who you are. And with all the other projects that I am to do that will speak on identity, I hope that they will speak in terms of embracing who you are as an African, who you are as a young woman, who you are as a young person. And I hope that many Africans can use or view my work as a tool in terms of embracing their identity regardless of who they are.
What are your full names, age, nationality, and geographic timeline?
My name is Sheba Kapambwe. I am 19 years old and I am from Zambia. Yeah, both my parents were raised in Zambia, but as for me, I was raised here in Botswana for my whole life, basically since I was 7 months old. Yeah. And what is your full name, age, and geographic timeline?
My name is Ketty Mphande. I'm 19 years old. I'm from Zambia. Both my parents are from Zambia as well. I was born there. I came here when I was 3 months with my family, and we've been here ever since. How do you define home?
For me, I feel as home is somewhere where I just feel at ease and safe. It's not just a place, it's more of an idea, somewhere where you feel happy and content. Yeah. So what is a home to you?
Home to me is where you feel most at ease, like you said. It's where you feel safest. It's the place that you know the best. But for me personally, my home changes because it's where my nuclear family is. So wherever they are, that'll be my home. What do you culturally define yourself as and why?
Well, because I was born in Zambia, I just say I'm Zambian because that's where I'm from. That's when people ask me where I'm from, it's the first place I say. Even though I was born here, I do feel, even though I was raised here, I do feel like a part of me is more Botswana than Zambian, because I'm so used to being around Botswana and being in Botswana that being in Zambia feels a bit weird to me. It's like a place where I was born and it's like where my passport is from, but I just feel like I feel like this is where I mostly feel at home, and where I feel like I'm just more like a Botswana than a Zambian. What do you culturally define yourself as?
Same as you, I feel like I'm Zambian. It's weird because I was raised here, but I don't feel at all Botswana. It's very weird. But yeah, I culturally define myself as Zambian. Have you struggled with cultural identity crisis before? Have you struggled with a cultural identity crisis before?
I wouldn't say struggled. I mean, at some point, I did feel a bit weird about it because, you know, you're born in Zambia and everything, but I've never felt comfortable in Zambia. I hardly go there. I hardly visit Zambia. Like it's been over a year, almost a year since I've been there, and I don't go there that often. So at some point, like I feel like I'm a foreigner in this country. I mean, I know I am a foreigner in this country, and then also being in Zambia, I just don't feel like I'm Zambian either. You know, 'cause it just feels so uncomfortable because I don't relate to a lot of people there. You know, like this has been my home. This is what I know. I don't really know Zambia that well. So I wouldn't say I struggled, but it was like something that I thought about a lot. Like it's very confusing, you know, it gets to you sometimes, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Have you ever struggled with cultural identity?
No, I have not, only because, like I said, I've never been allowed to forget that I'm not from here. I feel like my parents are always just instilling those Zambian cultural norms in me, and you know, just always reminding me that I'm not from here. I can't act like I'm from here.
Yeah, I think that's the difference, because my parents never raised me that way. You know, like them being from two different tribes. I don't even know my language. You know, I don't even know Bemba because they never tried to teach me my language. You know,
yeah.
And my mom never raised me to know that I'm Zambian and I should never forget that. You know, she just raised me in her own way. You know, like she never tried to force me being Zambian. She never tried to force me being a Mutsana. It was just raising me to be a good child and, you know, to be respectful and everything like that.
I can kind of relate to that, because even them, they would say, you're not from here, but they wouldn't say, speak your language. This is how you should talk. This is how you should act. This is what we do in Zambia.
Exactly.
They would just say, you are not from here, so don't act like you're not.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
So, have you visited your country of origin, and do you easily blend into the language, tradition, and culture?
Well, I think I already answered this, but I'll just say it again. I don't really visit Zambia that often. I don't know what it is. I just think that now that I'm older, my parents kind of give me the choice to make, that if I want to visit there or not. And personally, I don't really see a reason to go back. I mean, I have so many friends here that feel like family to me. So it's, yeah, I love to see my family sometimes, but that's pretty much it. And when I go there, like, I just see them and then it's like, there's nothing more for me to do. So I don't go there as much. And,
do you blend into the tradition and the language and the culture?
No, not even a little bit, because I'm so different. Like, I think one of the main things that differentiates me from them is the way I speak, because that's something that a lot of people comment on, like how I speak, my speech and everything like that. And I don't talk like a Zambian, so it's hard for me, because then, you know, people comment on that, like you're not allowed to. Why are you Zambian if you talk like that? You know what I'm saying?
Have you ever had anybody call you Muzungu? No. You know how Muzungu means somebody from European descent?
No, I've never had, but they always just like, have you lived in America? Like, and you just tell them that, no, I've just been in Botswana my whole life. I don't know why I speak like this. It's just how I speak. You know, I think it's also just only knowing English.
Yeah.
That, like, you don't know another language, so you don't have that other personality, you know, from that language. You know what I'm saying? So when I go there, I don't easily blend in. I don't understand what anybody is saying. You know, any of the languages, I do not know them. So I don't easily blend in. I'm just there to just visit people, and then that's pretty much it, you know? How about you? Do you blend in well? Do you know, relate in a way?
No, not at all. Honestly, it's really hard for me to be around my family, because all of my cousins, all of my aunts and uncles, they all speak like the same language, especially like on my mom's side. They have this really like rich language that they're all proud to speak, and I'm the only one that doesn't understand it. So you know, they'll usually speak in that language, and I'll just be quiet.
And then they make you feel
corner.
bad for that, yeah? They
And
make
I'm
you
just
like it's your fault. Like
you didn't teach me.
Yeah, but you didn't teach me though, so it can't be my fault. They make me feel so bad. It'll be like, no, you should learn your language. And I'm like, I would love to, but nobody's here to teach me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stay here for long. I have a home to get back to, so it's, you just gotta live with these kind of things, I guess.
So it's kind of touching in that way that I'm not able to connect with my family the way I should.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's life.
It's life.
Have you made any efforts to improve your experience at your country of origin?
I wouldn't say I have because I've never felt the need to, because my parents have never kind of forced this thing, no, you have to be more Zambian, you have to know your language, you have to do this and that. They've allowed me to grow into the person that I am and to be who I am. They've given me this free environment where I can choose who I want to be. My culture or my country does not define who I am. So I've never had to think about having to be more Zambian so I can blend in well with them, because I think I'm fine the way I am. I've made a good life here. I have good friends, good family. So I feel like it's just a place I go to visit. So I don't really feel a need to have to learn new ways to blend in and stuff like that. Yeah. Have you ever tried to make any efforts?
I have tried to learn the language, but like I said, it is hard when you don't live in the place where they speak
That's
it.
True.
To be fair, I don't understand Setswana either. But
No, same here. No judgment this side. I haven't learned that either.
But yeah, it's also hard because we don't go there often. I think in total, I've only spent a year, since I was born till now.
Yeah.
I've only spent a year in total there.
Yeah,
so,
I'm probably less because I feel like you go there more than I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, not really. What is the one thing you'll always appreciate about the extent to which you've been accepted in Botswana? Can you imagine your life had you remained in your country of origin?
I think what I mostly love about Botswana is how you are so free to be whoever you want here. There's no judgment for being from a different country, from being from a different ethnic group. Everyone just accepts you for who you are and how you are. And I've met so many people that when they hear I'm from Zambia, they get so surprised. And I think that it's not a big deal that I'm from Zambia, but they get so amazed, wow, you're from Zambia. Wow, you know what I'm saying? They get so excited, and it makes me feel so happy because being from Zambia is such an amazing thing to them, and I've just always felt so welcome here. With all the friends that I've had, they've all just accepted me here. They've all made me feel at home. They've just helped into making this place a home for me, And imagining growing up in Zambia is really scary because I know that I would have turned out so differently from who I am right now. I don't think I would have been the person I am right now. And also just think about how I wouldn't have gotten to witness these memorable experiences and meeting these people that I have come to grow fond of and love and everything. I wouldn't have known you. I wouldn't have known Towela. I wouldn't have known so many people. And that scares me to know how your life can be so different from how it is just by being in a different country, So I really can't imagine not being who I am and not living here, And so, how about you, girl?
The one thing, I don't think there's really one thing that I could say because I've been here so long and I've never really felt like this outsider.
That's true.
I've felt like an outsider in some ways, but not in a way that's really defined.
Yeah, I think it's more just feeling an outsider because you have to have a permit. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Every 3 years you have to go and
you have
permission to stay in your home.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But other than that,
yeah.
It's just been a home, nothing less.
I really don't feel like I would be that different. I feel like my values would be the same because I get my values from my parents, but we are products of our surroundings. So had I stayed in Zambia, which is a lot more conservative, I would be...
That is true. That is very true.
I wouldn't talk the way I talk. I wouldn't
dress
say
the way
that
you dress,
I wouldn't,
you know?
not at all.
Like, you'd just be looked down upon just by wearing the kind of clothes they're wearing now, you know? So that's why I'm like, I'm just so grateful for my parents, you know, deciding to move here, because I can't imagine having any other kind of home. Like, that's why I appreciate them for deciding to move us all here. I feel like it's been such an amazing experience, you know, and I just love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I also like the way, like what you said, Botswana, I feel are really open to other people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've never had a one-on-one conversation with somebody. I'm sure there's people out there like that, but I've never had a one-on-one conversation with somebody who's like, why are you here? You're not supposed to be here.
Like, why don't you live in your country? Why don't you go back there?
I feel like they're all really accepting and really loving.
I think the most they ever say is that, what language do you speak? And then they try it, and then you have to do that thing like, I don't know my language. And then there's that awkward.
I appreciate what you're trying to do, but
I don't know my language, so.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, Botswana has always been a home, and it always will be a home, you know.
What are your full names, age, and nationality?
My name is Godwin Ifez. I'm 23 years old and I'm Nigerian.
All right. Can you give us a brief on your cultural background? How was growing up for you?
Well, I guess it's a bit mixed because I only came to Bots when I was 10 years of age. So for 10 years, I knew the Nigerian culture. Then I came here and started assimilating it as well. So, yes.
How do you define home?
How do I define home? I guess home is where you feel happiest and safest in, where you feel the most stable in. Because to a lot of people, home is where your family is, where your roots are from. But sometimes it's not really home, especially when you go to somewhere else when you are younger. So yes, to me, it's where you're most stable, where you're happiest in.
So
yes.
where is home for you? Like, what is home for you? When was the last time you felt at home?
I think right now,
All
because I guess what is home as it stands.
What do you culturally define yourself as and why?
I describe myself as a Nigerian Igbo man. Yes, because don't know. I feel it accepted me more. Yes, than my adoptive nation. Yes.
All right. Do you understand? Do you identify with the concept of being a cultural hybrid?
Yes, I do.
How far do you agree with it?
I agree with it because a huge part of learning culture is also your surroundings as well. If I was in Nigeria, for instance, I would learn more about culture from my parents and everyone around. But being in Bots, I learned mostly from my parents. And then when you go outside for social interactions, I learn from other people as well. So I guess I have cultural values from both my original culture and mostly the Setswana culture.
Do you
Yes.
have more Tswana friends than like other Nigerian friends?
Yes, I have way more Tswana friends than Nigerian
How are your
friends.
friendships like with them?
I'll think my closest friendships are with Botswana. Yes.
Why? How do you relate with them? Do you consider yourself different from them? Do you feel at home with them? Do you feel the same?
Well, barring conversations that bring in nationalism, I feel quite at home with them. It's quite normal. We look past the nationality citizenship divide. We look past it a lot. Of course, we do make jokes about languages like, hey, you can't speak Setswana. Yeah, but apart from that, it's pretty close. Yeah.
Alright. So what languages do you know?
Languages I understand would be English, Igbo, and Setswana.
Okay. Do you speak Igbo?
Yes.
Okay. How do you feel about Nigeria? Do you feel proud of national pride?
Well, yeah, I love attempting it, but the jokes that come afterwards at my expense.
Do you find that you get a similar experience when you try to speak Setswana?
I definitely get a similar experience when I try to speak Setswana. Because for some odd reason, I've been told I don't have an accent that agrees with a lot of local languages, which I find to be false because I'm pretty sure I can blend in.
Alright.
Yes.
Do you see the need to have a dominant culture?
Yes, I do. Because to make a decision, you always have to be able to go for something or against something. I would like to have like something that I can always go back to. Some like a culture that guides me. One that I can say, okay, cool, I'm gonna go with this, or I'm not gonna go with this for so and so reasons. But yes.
All right. Would you be open to, like, are you open to having friendships with people, like I said, who are international, just maybe not Ghanaian, but other African countries? Do you see this like a necessary cultures?
Yeah, it's very important. Hey, because no, I can't go political, but yeah, I think it's very important, and I do have a couple of them. Because during my time in UB, I was active with the International Students Association, so I met a lot of people.
Do you feel that you identify with other people who've grown up in different environments from the cultural provision?
Yes, I do.
And you attribute that to growing up under those conditions?
Oh, yeah, you know what they say, experience is the best teacher. So, yeah, when they talk about certain experiences, I can relate to them because I've gone through some of those as well.
All right, closing words as an immigrant, what kind of advice would you give someone who doesn't understand what it's like to live in a different country under different conditions?
I would say be focused on something. Don't let what people say dissuade you, and be open-minded as well, because it's very important. And as much as possible, don't try to annoy the local population. Yes, that's pretty much it.
My name is Kafui Yao Nonome Adjah. I am 23 years old. I'm born and raised in Botswana, B-Dub. My father's Ghanaian and my mother is a Motswana.
Where are you from nationally?
Nationally, I am Motswana. 2 years ago, I turned 21 and I had to choose and denounce a nationality because I'm half and half. So I went with the most viable and reasonable decision, which was to be a Motswana.
If you could, would you do dual citizenship?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Unfortunately, the law was passed the year after I took that decision. So hopefully it's something I'm looking to change in the future and when I do have time.
Take us through your journey of self-acceptance.
Wow, okay. All right. For the most part, I've dealt with an identity crisis. My parents were divorced at a very, very young age. I stayed with my mother, so I grew up for the most part not really knowing who my father was, and to some extent, I guess it kind of built it up a little bit of resentment towards him. But to the point where it kind of like affected school, it got to a personal, it just distorted my life moving forward. But then, I was young back then. You grow up and you tend to kind of like, you are narrow-minded, and as you grow up, you become more wiser, and you just decide to just open up yourself to the world and just explore that part of yourself. That's when, after I finished my Form 5, I saved up enough money to go to Ghana just to go see and experience where my father is coming from. Because at that age, I was just like, okay, I need to accept who I am. I am different, clearly. I'm from two different ethnic backgrounds. So I went there to Ghana, and it was beautiful. It was a great experience. My perception of him, my perception of identify myself as a Ghanaian had completely changed so much. Back then, when people were like, hey, you Ghanaian, you don't know who you are and stuff like that, I'd get really angry and I'd like beat them up and stuff. But as of late, they're like, hey, Mogana, and you stand tall in your pride. You're proud of it. You're like, yeah, that's who I am, man. That's who I am, and it's great. It's a great feeling. You feel proud to be who you are, and just the mixture that you have within yourself.
What were your expectations versus your reality when you got to Ghana? What did you expect?
My expectations, unfortunately, the first time I went there, I was just going to peruse the landscape, just to see, what the city's like. It was really amazing. The people are amazing. They're friendly. It is very loud compared to like Botswana. The food is great. The culture is great. Everything about it was amazing. And the second time I went around, I was just decided to take a more personal trip to go see exactly where my father is from. But unfortunately, due to geographical difficulties, I wasn't able to do so. I'm planning a trip to go there this Christmas, and this time I'm ready to just go see where I'm coming from and stuff like that. Go see where he is. He passed away 12 years ago, so I'd like to see his, home, I guess.
Do you think it became more important to you after his passing to find out who he was and what he was about?
He passed away in like 2005. I think I was 10 at that point, so I really didn't know what was going on. I was just told like, okay, this person passed away and he was your dad. I'm like, okay. And as I grew up, I was like, oh, okay. And obviously having gone there for the first time, I just wanted to just, try to get to know that side, I guess. And it's been a great experience so far. I love it. I've met a lot of people, surprisingly, in this country who actually knew him. So, I have that context. We meet up every now and then. They tell me these stories, and it's really nice to hear about, that side of him that I never really got to know. And it's great. It's great, and it's only going to get better.
All right. Could you tell me about your friendships with people? Do you have Botswana friends that you
Yeah, definitely. I have Botswana friends. I grew up here, so that is my circle. These are the people I associate myself with mostly. I do have international friends. I do have some Ghanaian friends. I have Ghanaian uncles, Ghanaian everything. So but most of them are really Botswana.
Okay. Yes. And your international friends?
So international. The most part of like 15 years, I've been staying with Americans. We had enrolled with my mother this exchange student program that allows these American students, and we volunteered ourselves to just give accommodation to some of them who weren't able to get accommodation here in UB. So, it was a great experience. You met different people, different states, California, Montana, Oregon. I can name them all, really. I think I've had like a total of like 18 Americans to stay with me. And really, it's been a great experience. I also have friends in Africa on its own. Going to Ghana for the first time, going to Ghana for the second time, I've made a lot of contacts. I still talk to them to this day. They've come to South Africa sometimes and we meet up and we just, hang out and stuff. So, I guess I'd say I'm a little bit culturally diverse.
All right, just going back a bit to your friendships at an international level, I want to find out how open you made to learning more about your culture and vice versa. Did you find that you were assimilated into their culture or tried to act like them?
For the most, I guess, we are growing up in an urban kind of lifestyle, so we're pretty much in the same demographics, so it was kind of like a little bit easy to relate to them. Most of them were like my age, or a little bit older, so we could relate to certain things that we're going through together and stuff like that. So there wasn't really, we could share experiences and learn from those, I suppose.
Can you imagine your life in Ghana, growing up there, not having any relation to Botswana?
It's funny you asked that. I went to Ghana for like a second time. It was like 3 years ago, and I stayed there for like about 2 months. And it was great. I got to see the city, got to see the people. The food is great. The jollof is quite amazing and stuff. And jollof is a very popular food there. But I couldn't help but feel alone. My whole life is here in Botswana. my friends, my family. I don't know any family from my father's side. That side, I guess the first place to start would be at the village, but then it's a long way off where I was staying. So, I felt alone, I felt homesick. For the most part, I stayed in my room, and, I don't know, I didn't have anyone to talk to, I guess, even just language-wise, it's really great to meet like a Motswana and be like, oh, hey, Dumelang, how you doing, and stuff like that, and you miss home. It's really hard sometimes.
Kafui, what do you identify home as?
Home to me is family, man. Home to me is the village you grew up with. Be it the relatives you do have who raised you to be the person you are at this point and further, to the friends who kind of like you get to share these experiences with and stuff like that. That is home. Home is where you feel safe. It's security. You get to be who you are. You don't have to like put on a mask. It's your freedom. So.
Do you feel the need to have a dominant culture in your life?
For the most part, and in my experience, I feel like I need to have a cultural dominance because this is my life. I've grew up here, and as much as I want to explore this other side of myself, and I really want to go further and teach my kids about it, this is where I've been, and I guess I would be culturally leaned towards Botswana because this is where I've been. Yes.
All right, and last, I want to find out. What was the last question?
You said you'd think about it.
I want you to explore the idea of being a cultural hybrid, which is to say that you're a fusion of two different, very diverse cultures.
Okay.
Are you proud of that?
Yes, I really am. It's great. It's a great being a mixture, a colored, if I may say that. It's really great. But it's hard. I don't want to lie to you. Trying to keep tabs with like two different nations is a lot, from learning the language, both of them, like listening and actually speaking. It's quite hard. It's something I guess you should develop at a very young age to be able to kind of like balance it all. But it's a really great feeling to kind of like be two in one. Yeah, and it's something I've worn so much with so much pride for the past 10 years, I guess.
Has that made you more open to the way you receive international?
Definitely. I think that's why it's much easier for people from different countries to kind of like, I guess I understand the situation they're in, so I'm more able to accommodate them in that situation, and to them they can, they open up and become themselves, and you make them feel like a part, like they're not different, and I think that's just what we as a nation here in Botswana we do. We don't tend to kind of like wall ourselves. We just embrace the people we have here as our own.
Lastly, Kaf, I want to find out, what kind of advice can you give to someone who has not had the kind of opportunities to be open-minded that you have? What tools can you give someone who has not been outside Botswana, has not related with immigrants before? What kind of approach should they take towards relating and creating better relations with people like you?
Just be an open-minded person. No man is an island. That's one thing's for sure. We all need each other, each in our own ways, I guess. So just try not to be too narrow-minded about things. The world is way bigger than you think. There's an opportunity out there. for all you know, just start small, start home. You may be a person from Uganda, there are Ugandans here in Botswana, and just start there. For all you know, they know, your father or your mother, and they may expose you to greater things that you could have possibly never imagined and stuff. So just be open-minded. Yeah.
Alright, Kwasi. So how was your first experience in Ghana?
My first experience in Ghana, that was a while back, but I think the distinct takeaway was, in as much as it would feel like home, I also felt very much like a tourist. I wasn't there for too long, but there was so much to get done, and I was taking in so much in terms of integrating with the culture, the people, the food, the climate, and getting to understand that it's a very significant part of who I am. But at the same time, I felt like a tourist on vacation, just experiencing different people and their way of life. It was a bit aloof from what was meant to be a very significant part of my identity as a Ghanaian.
At what point did you become more accepting to that other part of your culture?
Growing up, it's always been in the household that, look, it's who I am, and I had daily reminders. Imagine it's like you're living in two different worlds, where outside home with your friends at school or wherever it may be, you're interacting with these people, and these people being maybe citizens or locals, and when you get home, it's the Ghanaian culture or certain customs, more especially through my mom, that are being passed on, and daily reminders that in as much as you don't go there as much or you don't seem to speak the language, you shouldn't forget that you are a Ghanaian. Yeah.
Alright, how were your parents in playing that role in terms of finding a cultural identity? Have they, I won't say enforced, but have they deeply encouraged you to figure out to, assimilate to that part of who you are?
Well, it's been quite subtle, because from as early as I can remember, both parents would always use subtle ways of doing it, like insisting that I learn how to speak Akan, or just every now and then sharing Ghanaian proverbs, or even scolding me in Akan, you know what I'm saying? Just so like I could get to understand that it's a part of who I am. So these very constant reminders would always be at the back of my mind that in as much as I can speak Setswana. Funny thing, growing up we had Kalanga neighbors, so I was simultaneously learning Setswana and Kalanga, but then within the household as well, I'm learning my mother tongue. Yeah. So just the mix of these languages, building up my self-perception, but then what was anchoring me was knowing that I am a Ghanaian, and there were reminders in the food, there were reminders in how we did things differently, there were reminders even in the choice of where, like going to church and the small Ghanaian community that fellowshipped with us on Sundays. So in that, I would say that it also fed to a lot of confusion, because it made me wonder at some point in time, because I've started a citizenship application, rather naturalization, and it made me wonder whether or not it's the right thing to do, because in as much as Botswana feels like home, there's a very huge void filled by wondering what I'm missing out on by not having been so in touch with who I am as a Ghanaian.
Speaking on that, that's the process when you are over 21, right? Yeah. Speaking on that, how important is it to you that you get citizenship? do you think that with or without the citizenship, you being Botswana, whatever way, is still an evident part of who you are?
Yeah, well, it would be a part of who I'm becoming, but then the backstory of who I am would be linked with the story of who my parents are. And my parents are Ghanaians, and they passed on the culture, they passed on certain traditions. I mean, it's evident even in my name and all that. Because one thing I'd always tell someone is when they ask the meaning of my name, I'll tell them it means Sunday. And that sparks conversation. So what do you mean Sunday? Like the day of the week? And I'd have to go on and further explain how, as per tradition, there's a custom that, based on the day of the week you're born, that would determine the name you're given as a boy or girl child. So it's just things like that, even certain activities within the Ghanaian community in Botswana. It's very small, but it's also closely knit. So in doing that, growing up, that molded who I've been becoming. So by getting citizenship, sure, my national IDs would say I'm Botswana now, but I think a very important or rather significant part of my backstory is I'm also Ghanaian by just existing.
Okay, and then speaking on in terms of your social relations with others, how many, just roughly, do you have more international friends than you do Botswana friends, and by that I mean non-citizens?
Non-citizens. Well, based on social interactions, I'd say there's a balanced mixture. I mean, transitioning from schooling here to working here now, obviously I'll be surrounded by a whole bunch of citizens, and that's great. But I also have a good number of international friends, other African immigrants who I hold closely as my friends as well. And we share a lot of mutual interests and experiences in terms of identifying who we are so far as having lived here so long. But so far, I'd say I have a whole lot more international friends.
All right. Are you open-minded to learning more about other people's cultures? How can you kind of attest that to what you do and who you are at the moment?
Well, I'm very keen on artistic expression, but then artistic expression in terms of how people articulate how they understand themselves and how they understand themselves within their environment. And I'd like to actually repeat this to my dad because whilst I was still very young, toddler age, I'm not sure the exact age, but I remember taking so many trips with him, just moving around very remote areas of Botswana and so on and so forth, going as far as places like Tsavo, Kakea, if you know the places. They're very far from Gaborone, but then when you get there and it's a bunch of people who've never met someone who looks like you, speaks like you, and all that, you have to then get to integrate with them, live with them, eat with them, understand their way of life. And that is a very beautiful interaction. It really opens up your mind to see how even within a country, there's so many diverse people, so many diverse and yet similar ways of living. So